Good morning, YouTube. I saw an absolutely ridiculous statement by Bentley being reported on the drive to explain their declining sales.
Oh no, what is the excuse?
This is from the horse's mouth, the Bentley CEO, and he's saying the reason why people are not buying his cars, Bentley CEO, is not because his customers can't afford them, but there is a level of emotional sensitivity that has slowed down demand, meaning people can still afford to buy his cars, but they don't want to because the common man is struggling. And they do not want to appear, rubbing it in their face by buying a brand new Bentley. It's just, it's not the appropriate time to buy one. And that's why sales have slipped 10% on Bentley sales.
That's a lot. Like, I feel like in the world of cars, like 1-2% can be significant.
Right.
10% is a huge drop in sales.
Yeah, this is in 2022 to 2023. So now we're well into 2024 at this point. And Bentley CEO, I know exactly why your cars aren't selling as well. And it's because you have gotten rid of the W12, which was long in the tooth, but when it came out, it was a technological marvel. It was the world's fastest four-seat production car for $200,000. You got 550 horsepower of W12 goodness, and twin turbos, you didn't improve upon it.
When did they take it off?
Just this year, they're doing the final editions of the W12, and they don't have a replacement. Instead, it's just going to be twin-turbo V8s or hybrids. They're not having this thing that made Bentley really special. Bentley was on life support before. In 2000, they were combined still with Rolls-Royce, building just absolute junk that nobody was buying. And Rolls-Royce got spun off to BMW. The new Phantom came out. Very, very cool. Bentley went to Volkswagen, and they took the VR6 motor, took it ×2, and made the W12. It was awesome. But 20 years, pretty played out. You got to top it somehow. They're not topping it.
They're not going all electric like everyone else is. They don't have that under the covers.
Rolls-Royce is going there, and I imagine they're going to make some commitment or whatever, but people don't want to buy that.
But I feel like that correlation with people feel bad, like we would have seen that throughout the years. I don't mean to go all the way back to the Great Depression because people aren't going to be buying cars during then, but any sort of crisis that happens, then sales should go down, and there is no big correlation with, interest rates and depression or world catastrophes or just local catastrophes and vehicle sales, especially with Bentley.
Well, they make plenty of appealing, extra luxury, expensive cars, and of course that's getting more competitive. And the electric brand, in the electric segment, there's plenty of ultra luxury electric cars, Lucid and things coming out that are half price. But Bentley needs a way to differentiate themselves from their other Volkswagen products that have twin turbo V8s and things like it. Bentley needs to be special, and your cars, well, if you take away that power plant and you don't replace it with something equally as cool, then
well, do you think there's a correlation with when you buy a new Bentley, the depreciation jumps down significantly, like more so than it did in the past, or is that not a thing?
Oh no, Bentley depreciation is insane, but most people that are rich, they don't care.
Well, and that brings another point. I feel like a lot of the companies that I have worked for and done some freelance work for, the owners, the people that have started this company, a lot of them, to get that far, to be that successful, you kind of have to be a jerk. Like, you kind of have to not care about other people's feelings that much to really get ahead. I'm not saying everyone's like that, but a lot of business owners have to really just kind of step on people and step your way to the top and not care about hurting people's feelings. So the correlation between people feel bad about not buying, about buying Bentleys because they have too much money, they don't want to throw it around, I don't believe that.
Well, not to compare it to Kansas, but about 15 years ago, we had a theme park open in Kansas called Wild Wild West World.
Where is this going?
And Wild Wild West World was billed to be, the Six Flags or Disney World of the Midwest, and it wasn't. It was only open for like 2 or 3 weeks before they ran out of money and they couldn't get any extra cash, and it closed forever. It was only open 2 or 3 weeks, and the guy who eventually, I think, went to jail for the money problems and things, who knows, embezzlement or whatever. said the reason why his theme park had failed is because right before they opened, there was a massive tornado that took out a town 100+ miles away, and people were so depressed about that
Right.
that they didn't think, they weren't excited enough to go to a theme park. They were
Right.
like, oh, we're just sad about this tornado. I don't know if that many people died. It was a terrible thing. It was F5, but it was 3 hours away from us.
That's a huge tornado.
I know, but that was the reason why his theme park failed. It's
How
sort of like this
close?
Bentley CEO
How
saying.
close was this F5 to where we're at?
Oh, 200 miles.
But an F5 is like miles wide, aren't they?
Well, they can be up to a mile wide, but it was 300 miles away, or 200 miles away.
It's
and
coming.
The Andover 91 tornado was less than a mile from this house. That was an F5. But I mean, just going back to that, like they're making excuses for a weak product.
Right.
And you go look at their website right now, and Bentley, they have the Bentayga SUV that came out in 2017.
Right.
It's been out for a long time. It doesn't look all that different from when it came out in 2017. It is very expensive. You have their Flying Spur Speed, and this is the final W12 edition,
That is
basically
sexy.
going out. Same with the Bentley Continental.
I love it.
Beautiful car, but doesn't look that different from what they were
Right.
making 20 years ago.
Right.
It's once again another example of where Bentley was before in 2000, where the cars in the 80s looked a lot like the cars going into 2000, and why?
Right.
Why buy it? It's a W12. It's just a little bit faster. They just keep turning the volume knob up. They haven't hit this reset button. And if that reset button is hybrids and electrics, well, they're in for a rude awakening, obviously.
Right. I mean, I do like how Bentley's kind of stayed similar. Like, you know that body style, that's a Bentley right away. They don't do anything super, super drastic. But
maybe-
using that as an excuse is a little, you're digging far for that.
All right, but it could just be me not understanding that because I personally don't buy cars, hi Neelix, to show off.
Right.
Like, I buy cars because I'm enthusiast. I think they're beautiful. I think they look cool. Because I don't think about that when I buy a car, but maybe it comes off as me being, like, insensitive. Like, I get, like, you didn't like my bright orange Lamborghini Murcielago.
No.
I love that car
No.
because the noise it made. It's a really cool looking
I mean, they're beautiful
Batwing
machines.
vehicle.
They're absolutely marvelous, spectacular. I love
Mm-hmm.
them, but it was a little much. It's a little showy, and even to get into them, you're like contorting your body to fit into them, and it's like it's a mini show wherever you show up under those.
Right, but I try and get away from the most showy ones. So, like, instead of a Lamborghini Aventador, I have a Countach, which I guess is a super duper show off car. But it's
That's an
But it's like a
incredible car.
tasteful, like, I don't know. The Countach, it wasn't tasteful. It was offensive. looking, just stuff tacked on, especially 25th
Yeah,
anniversary.
that's
but,
not helping your case.
But is it insensitive to own that car? That's what I'm curious about. I guess you could say that about showing off in a new Lamborghini.
you
but
could say that about having a $2,000 Prada purse or a watch.
a
that Rolex
2005
watch.
Cadillac Escalade?
Well,
Is that,
is extraordinary.
insensitive? I don't know. I guess that's where I don't understand the argument at all, because I know we went to California together. We did the Monterey Car Week, and I had the SLR McLaren,
Right.
and it was getting a lot of attention.
Penis
And
car.
I guess I did somewhat enjoy the attention, but I mean that wasn't the point.
I think what
like,
you enjoyed was other enthusiasts appreciating the car that you had and the marvel that it was with the association with McLaren.
maybe this is insensitive of me, but never once did I think owning that car and driving around in it would make people feel bad. Like,
Right.
like, oh, I can't afford that, and it's upsetting. Like to see it, which I guess when I was on the other side, I mean, not that long ago, I was completely broke at Monterey Car Week, like living in a shack. The cheapest Airbnb there was $30 a night. I bought a C36 AMG for I think $5,500.
Yeah.
This is in 2017.
Right.
And I would see something really flashy and think, oh, that's awesome. Not, oh, that guy's so rich and I'm not.
Right.
Not that I'm anywhere near what these Pagani guys are. Like, I'm probably the poorest Countach owner in the country by a zero. But I never thought that.
Right. No, I never look at that either. Or just someone with a fancy mansion, or another girl that has some crazy, diamond everything and jewelry and crazy Louboutin shoes. And I never think poorly of them. So I understand what you're saying. But maybe in the back of my mind, you kind of want to talk shit about them because you can't be like them. I don't know, but the excuse of the Bentley CEO saying people don't want to shove it in his face, I appreciate that. That's very sweet, but I don't think all human beings are built like that. When you work hard for your money, when you're working every day and you want to enjoy that time that you spent, whether you're away from your family or you're just putting time into someone else's business but making money for yourself, you want to spend it on something that you appreciate it. You put a lot of hard work in. And so, I understand when I bought my first house, like, I worked so hard. I barely bought anything else. Am I showing off because I bought a house that had a little bit of a backyard and land and property? No, it's just something that you deserve after you've worked so hard.
Right. Well, and Euro-Asian Bob, I think, is another example of that, because when he bought his business, he had to sell everything he owned, even though I don't like him very much right now because I've lost 3 times in the game show, but he tells the story of, like, when he bought a salvage yard, he had to sell everything. Like, he sold his used television. They had no furniture. They sold off all their cars, and they lived and went back and forth to work in a wrecked $200 shop truck that came with the salvage yard. And that's what they built their business on. And now he has a Ferrari, he has a 930 Turbo, he has a DeLorean, he has all these things, and I don't see people being envious of that. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I feel like we as a society don't really care if someone's born with a silver spoon and they're gifted a Bentley and whatever, or as opposed to someone that has worked their butt off. And it's just kind of like, we think about it for a second, but then you go about your own lives and do what you want with your own life.
So, with that in mind, place your bets on this Bentley CEO. How many years has he got left before they bring in a new CEO? And how big is his golden parachute going to be? That's what I get really jealous of. You've done a terrible job running this company. You're fired. Here's $20 million to be fired.
Your severance package.
Exactly. Yeah. I would be guessing we have a new CEO here relatively soon.
I'm going to say 3 months, new CEO.
I'd probably give him a year or two of
If it was a
continuing.
sports team, he'd be gone yesterday.
Right. Well, hopefully you're not thinking of replacing me.
Why would I do that?
I don't know.
Are you crazy?
My performance is diminishing. Thank you so much for watching. I am getting older. I don't know.
Oh no, that's so sad. Don't say that.